is Michele Zito, Senior Director from New York. And what I wanted to show you today are the steps to making an artisan bread in the deep covered baker. Now, this isn't something I would do all the steps at the show. This is something that I do all the steps up through the rising in the deep covered baker at home. And then that way I drive to my show, and the very first thing that happens is that I slide this into the oven so that when the guests arrive, the house smells amazing, beautiful, fresh baked bread that we then, serve with dippers and hot dip, cold dip, what have you. So we'll talk a little bit about that more later. Let's talk first about just getting this mixed up. And I know that a lot of you have not tried this bread because you've read the steps and they seem intimidating, and they're really super easy. So I'm going to make this in 3 different clips, video clips, so that you have each one. Okay, so step 1 is to just take your batter bowl and to it add 3 cups of flour. You can use regular flour. I do find that the results are a lot better actually with bread flour. But if you can't get bread flour, you don't have it in the house, and you're excited to try this today, by all means, just use your normal flour. I like to just toss it around in the bag a little bit because you don't have to really sift it, but you don't want it packed either. 3 cups. And for anyone who is a baker, this set of measuring cups is fantastic. Always keep these nearby. You can keep your recipes moving so nicely. Okay, then you're going to add 1.5 teaspoons of yeast. I actually just bought a big brick pack at BJ's, and now I just keep it refrigerated. So 1.5 teaspoons of the yeast. And then the same amount of salt. So the half. And the teaspoon. Of course, this is our adjustable measuring spoons. Much, much better than having 40,000 spoons on a ring. And then 1.5 tablespoons of sugar. So here's the larger part of that set. 1.5 tablespoons. Okay, so that is all of our dry ingredients. Now, if you want to make it plain, you would now add the water and start the rising process. I usually like to season it in some way, and just to make it easier as far as remembering, I just go right ahead with the same 1.5 teaspoons. I have found the most popular at shows has been the herbes de Provence, and we make a big laugh about this at the show, that if you use this spice, people are so impressed with you because, it's so fancy they don't even know what it is. This also costs a fortune if you buy these ingredients fresh in the store, so to get this for 6 and change at a Pampered Chef show with you is amazing. And this is the same that you would use for that hot and cheesy bruschetta dip, and, lots of other nice recipes. So, you have all of your dry ingredients together. You can use the rosemary herb, the lemon rosemary, or like I said, keep it plain. All right, and now we're going to add 1.5 cups of warm water. Just use, tap water. And you see it start to bubble. That's the yeast getting working. And then just stir it around, and you're going to have just, wet dough. So just keep moving it around until it's all incorporated. Now, what I will tell you is that this is something that you can do. This is the 4-hour version of the bread. So this is the part that you mix up and you let it rise for 2 hours. The next rise will take place in the baker for another 2 hours. So that it's 4 hours altogether, and then you bake it. So if you want to do this for a show, you can do this anytime in the mid to late afternoon. The second rise occurs, and then you can even have part of that second rise occur on your drive to the show, depending on how far away the show is and what your work schedule or home schedule is that day. All right. So now it's wet, it's done. You just cover it, and you're going to leave it alone. So you could use the lid to your batter bowl. You can use plastic wrap, whatever. Plastic wrap is closer to me than the lid of this bowl, so I'm going to go with that. And then I usually even will cover this with some sort of towel. And then just, put it aside, let it rise. And in 2 hours later, you're going to come back for step 2, which is the part that most of you are scared of more than this one. So we will come back to that in 2 hours. All right.